Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on my video. Please click like and subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to be notified about my new videos. Huge shout out to my Patreons who made this video possible. Thank you so much for your support. Check me out for exclusive content for as little as $2 a month at patreon.com/RainaMermaid. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about sequins. There's a really awesome video out there by my friend Vancouver Mermaid that covers tons and tons of the basics of sequin mermaid tails, and I'm just going to get into a little bit of it, but if you want something more comprehensive, I really encourage you to check out her video. I just want to talk a little bit about my own personal experience and my own thoughts, and maybe give you something to think about. So, I love sequins. In fact, right now, I am wearing some sequin slippers, because how Canadian mermaid am I? They're literally the ones that change when you move it. I could sit there and do this all day. Like this right here is my fidget spinner. And they're super duper comfortable. Got them for like $5. But like, I really like sequins. Same thing. Dying over here. Love these, wear them all the time. My favorite, got this off AliExpress, took me 6 months to get it. It's a sequin jacket, makes me feel like a rock star. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, mermaid rock star. I totally love it. One of my clients gave me this as a birthday gift one year. More sequins. So sequin tails. There are a lot of sequin tails out there because in the early days of tail making, it was easier to get your hands on sequins than it was to get your hands on silicone products, honestly. People were looking for ways to make fabric tails look more realistic. So the general sequins that people use was manufactured by a couple different companies. This is sort of like your standard, very teeny tiny. Not gonna focus, but that's okay. Very teeny tiny, iridescent. It's got a little teeny tiny hole, and they go up in size and up and up and up. And I think this is the largest you can get. So that's quite the difference. I'll show you the two together. Quite the difference. You can see that some mermaids opted for the bigger ones because 12 of these equals one of these, and you could cover more of a tail with that. Recently, Finfolk has created their own sequins, which are kind of a hybrid because they're a hard resin and they're big and thick, and they're big like this too, they kind of clack. These ones are straight up plastic and they do peel. So what's the deal with sequins? What is the big deal with sequins? Well, the big deal with sequins is that they could basically be considered a microplastic, a macroplastic. Sequins are a plastic, which means that they can shed, they can split, they can break. We had one sequin tail that we bought used from another mermaid who made it, and we only used it in the pool, and even when we used it in the pool, these sequins would fall off everywhere and we'd have to go and collect them. We would take it for photo shoots and it would leave sequins on the beach and we'd have to go pick it up. We never took it swimming, open water swimming, because we knew it would pollute, but also because it wasn't necessarily the safest tail for doing that in, but for the pool and stuff like that, it was fine. The thing about sequins is that if you're going to use them, you have to sequin responsibly. There have been complaints of very well-known mermaids, and I'm not trying to bash anybody or throw shade, it's just something I have come across when I've talked to different clients. Some well-known mermaids who have sequin tails and they swim in aquariums and their tails shed the sequins, clogs up the instruments of the pump, and some of the fish try to eat them because this shiny little thing looks like something that a fish would eat and they go for it. It almost looks like a fishing lure, right? So you have to think about the pollution aspect. You have to think about the impact on animals. You have to think about, is this a sustainable product? Like, silicone may not necessarily be the most environmentally friendly thing up front because it's a bunch of chemicals and rubber. However, once you make a silicone tail, if it's well taken care of, it's going to last decades. It's gonna last a long time. Sequin tails need constant repair because they're constantly losing these sequins, and factories are constantly pumping out these sequins, right? So same kind of thing with clothing. It's made really well. Quality makes a difference, so that you don't want to shed. I've never actually shed any sequins from the clothing that I own, which is really cool. These things have been worn for years, and I don't find sequins around the house. Not the kind of way where if you're wearing glitter. One of the big complaints really is just mermaids leaving an impact on the places where they're swimming. And in scuba diving and free diving, when they train you, they have these great mentalities of you should always, at the very least, leave things the way you found it, and at the very best, you should improve on how you're leaving things. So take some garbage with you or something, right? You don't want to be leaving sequins around in the environment. And sequin tails aren't necessarily the best ones to use in an aquarium either. But we're mermaids on a budget, right? So it's kind of tricky. It's kind of hard. This is where it's awesome that so many tail makers are coming out with so many options. When I started in the mermaid career, we had no options. We had no choice. We had to use a sequin tail for a while because that's all we could afford so that we could have enough mermaids and tails. Now there are these gorgeous realistic fabric tails that you can get. You can still use sequin tails, just use them responsibly. You have so many options out there, tails to fit any kind of budget, and some people really love the idea of making a sequin tail. I actually sent my very first fabric tail away to be sequined. I paid the person for it, I paid for all the sequins, they started sequining it, then they disappeared with all of my sequins and my money and my tail, and that really sucked because it was my first tail ever. And I tried contacting them quite a few times. They kind of pop back up in the industry once in a while and then they disappeared. So that really sucked, and I think about that tail all the time. I always get really enthusiastic and think, yeah, I'm gonna make a sequin tail just for photo shoots, just to have something beautiful. But I'm terrible with my hands, so it doesn't really work for me. So if you're someone who really has that urge to create, that's fine. It's all just about being responsible and leaving things better than we found it. As mermaids, people see us as a representation of ecodiversity and the environment, and whether you are an activist or not, we sort of have to uphold that, right? We are the beings of the sea. We want people to treat our home with respect. So if you're gonna sequin, sequin responsibly. Thanks for checking out my videos. Please like and subscribe and follow me on social media. You can also check me out on patreon.com/RainaMermaid. Thanks so much and best fishes.